Great, so this is the 1 hour using Google Slides PD. Specifically, we're gonna be talking about how you can use Google Slides to for your presentations and your virtual classes, but also for students to make an end-of-year student portfolio. So I'm just gonna drag this window out and just walk through the agenda really quickly. So in the session, like I said, we're gonna be able to access your Google Slides. I'm sure almost everyone here is probably already using Google Drive a little bit, but we'll just revisit that quickly. We'll use Google Slides for your lessons that you might be doing virtually with your students, whether it's in a conference call or asynchronously. We'll do a deep dive. We'll take a look at Google Slides, some different tricks, adding images, sounds, different things like that, videos, just some cool tools that if you're not already aware of will be useful. We'll take a look at how you can add Google Slide presentations to any assignments you might be doing in Google Classroom. I know some folks in here probably are using Google Classroom, some might not be, but I want to show that off because they do, they work together very, very nicely. And then the last part, this is step 5 here, or the 5th point, I think is the most important. We're going to take a look at making a project for your students so that they can create a portfolio of their work. And I'm going to say this probably more than once, but I think now more than ever, it's going to be extremely important for you to have some sort of project where your students, or some kind of artifact where your students are able to upload all the evidence of learning that they've done since remote learning has started. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you a good formula, a good idea for what you can do to be able to just have one URL with all your students' evidence of learning for remote learning that you can hand to a principal or an admin or anyone. Because yeah, I think K through 12, every student right now should be showcasing what they've learned during this time period. So I wanted to spend a lot of time on that in particular, and we're going to be doing that in the second half of this PD. Okay, so to get started here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first just access Google Drive. I am already signed in to my account. I'm in an account called Mouse Teacher. So I work at an organization or a nonprofit called Mouse, and we're doing these presentations along with Google just on different tools. So I'm already logged in. So quite a few folks might be using their at schools email accounts for this, or maybe just a personal email account or an email account that you have with your school that's been set up ahead of time. But to find Google Slides, I usually just go to drive.google.com. And again, this is just accessing slides. And now that I'm in drive.google.com, I see all these different files that I've had over time. But what I'm interested in is I'm going to make a new slideshow. So to do that, I'm going to click this new up in the top left-hand corner. And there's a few different options here, but I'm selecting the yellow one, Google Slides. So I'm just going to make a brand new Google Slideshow. I'm actually just going to hide some of this stuff I have to the right here, just so we get a larger view at what we're doing here. Okay, so I got a brand new slideshow. Doesn't have a name, doesn't have a title. It's just a boring white slide. So first thing I'm going to do when you first open a brand new slideshow in Google Slides, some really cool things, just random themes that are here that Google recommends. So I don't know, I like this one. Awesome. So now all my slides will have this weird kind of theme and color scheme. That's just a little bit more interesting for my students to see. So if anyone's new to Google Drive, you might know that Google Docs is going to be very similar to another program you may have used in the past, Microsoft Word. So Microsoft Word, Google Docs, very, very similar. If you've ever used Microsoft PowerPoint in the past, Google Slides is going to be your equivalent to that. The big difference between something like Microsoft PowerPoint and Google Slides is that Google Slides is going to work entirely in the browser. You don't need to download any program. Your students won't need to download any program. You just sign into your Google account, or for them, it might be their @nycstudents.net account. Everything's in the browser, good on an iPad, good on a Chromebook, good on whatever. So great. So I've now created this slideshow. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a name. Let's call it May 13 slides. Awesome. And actually, I just want to give this slideshow a title too. But if I click right into Untitled Presentation, Google Slides is pretty smart and has figured out that whatever I put here into my first slide, I probably want as the name of the slideshow. That's awesome. I love that. Oops. I see a question in the chat, so I just want to pause to look at that. So when you choose a theme, but then want to incorporate a PNG background, is there a way to omit the theme on one slide of the slideshow? Yeah. So the question is, I have my theme, this kind of greenish, bluish color and a white. And you can see actually as I click new slides here, it's giving me that same theme. The title slide is a little bit different, but I have this cool text. But if I want a new slide that doesn't have that theme, I can actually look at, so I have slide number 3 right here. I'm just gonna put some text in here. Text. I have the third slide selected. I can select theme. And then I have this option here if I want the entire presentation to be this theme, so all 3 slides. So like if I change, if I click this button here, or this theme I meant to say, you can see all my slides are now that theme. But if I scroll up to the top, instead of applying it to the presentation, oh no, this is not functioning the way I thought it was. I thought I was going to be able to change the theme for just this slide. So the question is, how do I make one slide a different theme than every other slide? There is a way to do this, and I am currently, here, is this it? Yeah, okay, sorry, I figured it out. Okay, so the question is, how do you make one slide different theme than the other slides? And the way that to do that is to look at the slide on the left-hand side here. I'm just gonna add another slide. So now I'm looking at slide 3, same theme as the other slides. If I right-click on that slide and go to change theme.
Oh, you gotta, okay, I see what he's doing.
Oh, sorry, it's apply layout. And then so now I can change it. So we have different options here. Thanks so much. Apparently it has changed just a little bit since the last time I've done that. So thank you for that question. Great, so just covering again, so in this PD so far, we've covered how to access Google Drive, how to start a new slideshow, how to add a theme. So I'm just gonna add some text here. So hello, and down here I'm gonna put world. So, and there's just a bunch of things you can do on here. So if you're familiar with Google Docs, it's gonna be very similar. This is way too small and I can't spell today, but so I can use this thing up here to make my words much bigger. So I'll make this 48 font.
Check my chicken.
And then I can make it a different color. I'm actually gonna highlight this bit here or make it bold, underline it, all these different things that you've probably seen if you're using Google Docs. Very, very similar, this top bar in Slides as well. Okay, next thing I want to cover, we've talked about some basic features of editing. We'll talk about inserting images and videos and stuff in a little bit. But I want to talk about the sharing and saving abilities in Google Slides. So popular question for anyone who's been moving from a tool like PowerPoint or Keynote is, where's my save button in Google Slides? I'm used to saving these things I'm working on. The answer to that question is there is no save button in Google Slides. There's not one in Google Docs, Google Sheets, anything, Google Drawings, anything. And the reason for that is this is all in the browser. So as I make changes, it's saving this in real time. And actually, if you pay attention to kind of where my cursor is at the top now, it's saying all changes save in Drive. As I type, you'll see it's actually saving in real time. And sometimes if you're on a really bad internet connection, it might take up to 10 seconds. But right now, my internet connection is not great, honestly, and it's doing it in less than a second. So just wanted to cover that. So you don't need to save anything, it saves automatically. Next thing, I can present my slideshow just by clicking the present button right here, and you'll see it just turns into my whole screen. So something I recommend if you're doing your presentations with your students, you're definitely gonna want to, basically what I've done here in Google Meets is I've shared or presented my screen with all of you, and then I don't have this in full presentation mode at the moment because we're talking about Google Slides, so I want you to see all those features in Google Slides. But if I was doing a lesson on anything else, I would just present it so it's full screen. Okay, next thing I want to cover here is sharing your slideshows. Later in this PD, I'm going to ask everyone to share their slides with me, and I guarantee you somebody will not share it with me properly. So pay an extra close attention to this next 60 seconds so I don't call you out later in the hour. So the way you'd share this slideshow with someone is top right-hand corner, there's a yellow button here, and I'm going to click on this yellow button that says share. And here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to take this URL or this link that this Google Slideshow lives at, and I'm going to try to share it with my personal email. So what I'm going to do is I have this copy link button here in the Google Slides menu. For anyone who maybe has walked away from Google Drive in the last week, this menu probably looks a little bit different. It was very frustrating to me when I first saw it as well. But the menu's new, for better or for worse, something we got to get used to. So anyway, I've got the URL for this slideshow. I copied the link. I'm just going to go into a different window, which is my personal email, and I'm going to try to open it. But I'll almost definitely get an error. I've currently got an error here, and the error I'm seeing is that I don't have access to see this slideshow. So in my other account, so in this window here, I created this slideshow. I shared the URL with this other person, which is currently being used as my personal email, and they can't see it. They're getting an error, or it says you need access, which is going to be difficult. If you're trying to share your slides with your students, you can see the issue there. So what do I need to do? What I need to do is change what's called the share settings of this slideshow. And there's a few different ways to do that. So now, again, I just want to back at this main menu. I'm here in my slideshow. I click the share button up here. And the way that I would allow other people to be able to see this slideshow is I can change, so there's this restrict, it's telling me it's restricted to only people I select, but if I change, mine says change link to mouse.org. I can click this. Yours will say something slightly different. It's just the email address I'm on currently. Now it's telling me that anyone that I work with or anyone with an @mouse.org email will be able to view this slideshow, but I want something different. I want my students to be able to see what this slideshow says. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little arrow that says down, and I'm going to say anyone with the link. If you've ever shared a Google Doc before, you're probably familiar with this process. And what's happening now is it's saying anyone with this link. If I give this URL to anyone in the world, they will be able to view it. So let's go back into my other account now, and I'm going to refresh the page. And if everything's gone right, yeah, it has, great. I am able to look at this slideshow. But notice I have what's called view only access, and that's incredibly important because now, try as I might, I can't do anything to these slides except highlight the text, which is important because if you're the teacher, you're handing out your slides to your students, you want them to look at it, but you don't want them to mess with it. But a positive thing here, though, is I do have an ability to make a copy. So here I am in my personal account. This is me with the purple bar here. And if I click File, Make a Copy of the entire presentation, this is going to be really useful, maybe something that you want your students to do. So now, the version that you shared with me, I still am not able to do anything with. But the version that I made a copy of, now I can do whatever I want. I can say, change the text, do whatever I want to do. So that was sharing. I've just covered sharing in Google Slides in terms of giving it to people as view access. But let's say you have a co-teacher, and you want them to be able to edit this document. So what I can do with that is up in this top bar, I'm going to add a person. I'm going to add Shalene. So Shalene's someone I work with, and I want him not just to have view access, but I want him to have edit access. So now I can double check. I can give him a slide too. I should say a note. Check out this slideshow. Please make any edits you want. So this would be, Shalene's my co-teacher. Now, both him and I will be able to actually look at this slideshow and make edits. But our students, they can't. They can only view it. Okay, great. So that is, what we've just covered is accessing Google Slides, making edits to some slides, some basic edits like text and theme. We've covered sharing for view access and for edit access. I'm going to share once again, everybody, in the chat. If you haven't signed into this PD already, please be sure to sign in at the URL in the chat. It's incredibly important for us and for you. And now the next thing I want to cover is I want to cover uploading content as Google Slides. So let's say you've been working in Keynote or you've been working in Microsoft PowerPoint for years and years. And you don't want to make a brand new Google slideshow for some content that you already have. That's fine. And what I want to show you right now is if I go to my Drive, I have it in this tab, but I can also access it by going to drive.google.com. So again, what I'm doing here is I've been teaching for years and years and years, and I have some presentations that I made in PowerPoint, and I don't want to remake them for Google Slides. The features to be able to do it online without kids having to download anything is awesome, but I'm not going to go through that process of recreating it. So what I can do is I can click this click this new button in the top left corner of Google Drive, click new, and I'm going to upload a file. And I should have a PowerPoint. Let me see. Oh, great. It's opened up my menu here to look at different files. And great, on my desktop, I actually have a slideshow that I made in PowerPoint, and it's my May 12th PowerPoint. And what's happening here is I've just uploaded this PowerPoint file. So that you can see the difference here. It says .pptx. That means I created it offline in PowerPoint. And now it's in my Google Drive, and if I click on it, you can see I can view the slideshow here, which might be enough for you, but I can't cycle through it slide by slide. I can't edit it. That's not great. But what I can do is at the top here, it says open with Google Slides, and I'm going to click that. I'm going to give it, what's happening right now while it's loading is Google Slides is converting from PowerPoint into Google Slides. So now I've got this awesome presentation that I may have made years and years ago that now exists in Google Slides, which gives me the ability to share it with my students the same way I would share some of these other slides. It has a custom URL. You can see this particular presentation is docs.google.com/1lb, all this stuff. That URL is specific only to my slideshow. So anyone with the link, as long as I have my share permissions correct, will be able to see that slideshow, make a copy of that slideshow, and that's great. So even though I spent all this time in PowerPoint, I don't need to spend all this time in Google Slides to update it. I don't know has anyone had this experience? Has anyone else tried taking something from Keynote or PowerPoint and placing it in Google Slides? If you have and you've had maybe a bad experience or a good experience, please do put it in the chat or unmute yourself and tell us about it, because I'd like for everyone to be aware of anything that might be challenging or simple with this. If not, I've had the experience and I'm happy to share, but please be sure. We'd love to hear it from anyone else in the call. So I'll share an experience. I worked in PowerPoint for years and years and years, and then ended up moving over to Google Slides. So quite often what would happen is I would come in to a slideshow I put into Google Slides, and maybe the text is over here for some reason, or there's an image that's now bigger than the slide. That's going to happen, definitely. Whenever you convert from one format to another, you'll definitely see some small issues like that. So it might take you a little bit of time to kind of correct some of those errors, but it's definitely going to be a whole lot quicker than creating a brand new slideshow. So we've covered now how to access Google Slides in your Google Drive. We've covered how to make text changes, theme changes. We've covered how to upload slideshows from a different format into Google Drive, or sorry, I should say into Google Slides. The next thing I want to cover, great, is, and sorry, I know you've been listening to me talk for a while, so I promise in the next 5 minutes you'll be actually, I'll be asking you all to create your own slideshow. I think this is really the meat of this presentation here, and that is for students to create their own portfolio. So I'm going to pull up a sample portfolio that I have ahead of time. And just want to reiterate what I said at the beginning of this PD. We're in a really weird time right now where we're not really sure how students are going to be assessed at the end of the year. We're not really sure what's going to be asked for by administration in terms of what students learned during this remote learning time. So I can't suggest this enough. I think every single teacher, K through 12, should be using Google Slides or whatever platform they want. I think Google Slides achieves it really nicely, but I think that everyone should require all of their students to create a portfolio of their work, either for the whole entire year or just for remote learning. It's going to be so important. Just to prove that during this time period, you were learning some content, what that content was, and just to be able to, with one URL, be able to share that content with anyone who needs it. So I just want to show you an example of a portfolio that I would recommend creating. This one, I'm going to present it actually. This one is something I gave out to my students. We were working in a program called Scratch, but you can actually do this with, whether it's an ELA portfolio, math portfolio, or whatever you want. But I gave my students this template, and the reason I gave them this template is because it made it took out a lot of the beginning steps for my students. So they would take this and this sample portfolio that I have here, and they would just rename it so that instead of Grace Hopper, they put their name in there. I gave them this slide to start off with. So what's in this portfolio? This portfolio is the student would finish that sentence. So just giving them that jumping off point, because 5th grade, they need that help. And then I just provided an example of what a good slide in a portfolio would look like. And so I've scratched project 1. It happens to be the maze game, and just 2 very quick paragraphs about what this project is and what this student learned in that project. So and then I just have an image, which we talk about how to put images in a moment. And then just a URL to get to the project. So again, it can work with absolutely anything that you're learning, but this was a great tool for me to give students a way to get started. And then just a reflection slide. So again, providing a 5th grader with the jumping off point, for what they need to write about in their slideshow. And I'll even show you something that I've done on these slides is I've added comments. The reason I added comments here is that students are being asked specifically what they need to do. Student to explain what Scratch is and what their experience was. Student to replace the title and all these things. And I just want to show you how to comment. So the way you would comment is you would take some text, you would highlight it by clicking and dragging, and there's a little button up here in the top right-hand corner. That's the comment history, and I'm going to add a new comment, and I'm going to say, change this text. There we go. So any student can now, if they are looking at the slideshow after I shared it with them, they are able to see the comment, resolve the comment, or make a copy and see these comments and make the changes where the teacher is asking them to make these changes. You can actually even see, I just got a notification that the comment was made, which is awesome. Okay, great. So what we're going to do in a moment is we're all going to take these, you're going to make an example of the Scratch portfolio, of a portfolio template that you would want your students to use. So to do that, you can either create a brand new slideshow using Google Slides, the same way I accessed it before, which was by going to drive.google.com. But another way that I want to suggest that you do this is to do it through Google Classroom. I just want to know, I know there's some questions in the chat. That's great. I'm just going to show this one last concept, and then during the time where everyone's working and creating their own slideshow, I'll be addressing those questions. So again, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to create an assignment in Google's Classroom to include a portfolio template. So I'm going to open up my Google Classrooms in another tab here, and I just accessed this from classroom.google.com. So again, if you're using Google Classroom, I highly recommend this. If you're not using Google Classroom, you would just create a brand new slideshow. But what I would do here is you would go to the classwork tab. You're going to create a new assignment. And when I create a new assignment, I'm going to call this the portfolio end of year. And this will be a new assignment. I'm going to skip the instructions now. But what I'm going to do is I want to attach a new slideshow template to this assignment for my students to complete. So if I click this create button, I'm going to create a new slideshow. So again, I'm in Google Classroom creating this assignment. Now this new slideshow I created has been generated from Google Classroom. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take this other slideshow that I made, this sample portfolio. This is really a template slideshow or portfolio, and I'm going to copy it. The way I'm going to copy it is I'm going to grab the top slide here. I'm going to hold Shift and click the bottom slide. And I'm going to right-click, hit copy, and I'm going to paste into this slideshow. Oops, not this one. Sorry, I got too many tabs open here. And I'm going to paste it right into here, either by right-clicking and pasting, or I'm going to hit Command-V. So I'm on a Mac, maybe Control-V if you're working on a PC. Why is this not working? Paste. Oh, why is this not working? You know when things don't work the way you want? Hey, now it did it. Probably did it like 10 times. So one thing that's happened here is now that I've pasted these things in, it doesn't look exactly the way I want it to. So what I'm going to do is this little option here says keep original styles. And when I do that, it'll actually look the way that I want it to look. And I'm just going to delete the first slide because it doesn't match. OK, so I've created this presentation now. I'm going to give it a proper name. Scratch portfolio. I've created this presentation, made it through Google Slides. And if I go back into Google Slides, remember this is the template that my students will use. The slideshow is here. And if you've never used Classroom before, again, I highly recommend it, especially for this project. But the slideshow template is here for the students. Currently, what they would be able to do is they would be able to see the slideshow and view it so they can make a copy. But actually, what I'm going to highly, highly, highly recommend for all of you using Google Classroom would be for you to grab this little icon here, and you're going to say, make a copy for each student. And when I do that, this slideshow will, each student in my class, when I assign this project, so I'm going to assign this maybe to be due at the end of the month, each student in my class will get a copy of that slideshow with their own name on it. And they'll be able to edit it, and the only person that'll be able to edit it is me as the teacher and them as the student. The other students in the class will get their own ones. So great, so I just made that assignment. Here it is in my classwork tab. If I view 7 students been assigned it, ooh, I'm clicking and dragging, I didn't mean to do that. If I view this assignment, here we go. Here's all the students in this class. And each one of them is actually right now being a template slideshow is being generated for them. So if I click, I'm gonna go back. If I click on this little folder here in the assignment on Google Classrooms, it's gonna take me to a folder that was automatically generated in Google Slides and was generated by Google Classroom. So now each one of these students here, I have a portfolio of their work. It's a template ready for students to be able to put their work into it. So if I go to the student, Alex Fleming here. So you can see they have the template here. Nothing's been edited because I've just assigned it. But in real time, I can actually see when this student will update this work. And the beauty of that is now I have this folder with all my students, all their portfolios. If a principal wants to see all their portfolios, I can share this URL with them. And that's fantastic. A nice, easy way. Somebody says to you at the end of the school year, what did your students do in remote learning? You can say, here you go. Here's this URL. That's all the work of all my students during this time. So great, it's a great artifact for you to be able to use as evidence of student learning. Okay, so right now it's 3:35. I'm gonna give everyone 10, potentially 15 minutes if we decide that's what we want a little later on, to create a template slideshow for your students. You'll either wanna go to drive.google.com and create a brand new slideshow, or you'll want to go to Google Classroom, create an assignment, and add the slideshow that way. You've seen the benefits of that as I've been talking. But you're going to make the slideshow as a template for your students to be able to take and edit to their own portfolio. If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat. Unmute yourself now and ask me. But this is your time now to experience Google Slides, maybe run into some issues and ask these questions while I'm on the line. But we're gonna take 10 to 15 minutes to do that now.
So just come out and then do it on Google Slide and then come back to you.
Yep, I was keeping this tab open where you're looking at my screen.
Keep the tab open, okay.
Yep, and then go into another tab, open up your Google Drive or maybe-
Yeah, I'll open up my Google Drive and try to do it there.
Excellent. And just for everyone here, if anyone is interested, I'm going to just paste my template slideshow here into the chat. So if you would like to get a jumping off point for your template, feel free to take mine, make a copy, do whatever you want to do with it.
I have a question.
Yes.
I am familiar with the Google Slides and the Google Classroom as an assignment. Now, yesterday I ran into a problem. I used Google Slide in the material, like when you go to create in Google Classroom, and I use it as a material. Now, my students were not able to have access to it. You will get that error where it said needs permission. So I want to know if Google Slides only grants that permission for the assignments, or was it something wrong with doing?
Good question. If anyone else is using Google Classroom and having that issue, feel free to look at my screen now. But I am expecting, if that's not what you're hoping to do in these next 10 to 15 minutes, please be sure to just create your slideshow. So what you did was you went to Google Classroom, you went to the classwork tab, you created a material. So a material, as opposed to an assignment, are a little bit different in Google Classrooms. A material is really just supposed to be a resource that students aren't able to edit. If you think about this, a material is kind of like passing out physically in the classroom, passing out a handout for every student that is just an article for them to read. Whereas an assignment would be like passing out a piece of paper that has empty spots for students to write in. So if you're going to make a slideshow that you want students to be able to have their own version and edit and make a copy and do all these different things, you're going to want to make an assignment. A material might be good for a lesson that you're giving out. So maybe you're using a slideshow just to show off as a 10-minute lesson for students. That you would want to do as material, but they won't be able to do anything with it except view it.
Yeah, that was the purpose for that one, but they weren't, for some reason, it wasn't giving them access to it. Because I guess I did it as a material. It's a material. It's for them to see it and listen to the audio that it's in there. But for some reason they weren't.
So then I would actually recommend, so now I'm in Google Slides on my screen. Just double check your share permission. So I'm going to go to share, and this menu changed recently. Again, it kind of drove me crazy at first. But if you go to this link vary, I'm going to click change. And it's really important that you have this selected. Anyone with the link, so anyone on the internet can view this file. So just give that a double check, and then you should be fine. I'm just going to look at some questions. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to look at some of the questions that are in the chat now. So again, sorry if you're creating your portfolio and this, and I'm just talking way too much. Sorry. Feel free to lower my volume, but I'm going to answer some of these questions in the chat while you all are doing that. So can you convert Promethean or Smartboard presentations? So if you have a presentation you made in Promethean and you want to turn it into a Google Slide presentation, now personally I've never tried this, but I can find out very quickly. We can share it. Do you know if it might be in .odp file? If that's the case, you definitely can. If it's not the case, let's see, Promethean. I'm gonna give it a quick Google. Promethean slideshow file type. So it's looking like it doesn't do it great. So the question here is, if I made a Promethean slideshow, can I turn it into a Google slideshow? The answer sounds like it is possible, but you're going to run into even more formatting errors than what I was describing might happen with something like PowerPoint or Keynote. Give it a shot. I think it's going to be you'll run into a few errors here and there though. Okay, next question in the chat. If I create a large slideshow that has links and videos and make a copy for each student, is it possible for the links to other activities in the different Google Slides or Docs to also be copied instead of only one for all of them? So you have a large slideshow, it has videos in it, links to other activities.
I'm sorry, is it confusing?
Great. If you can say it out loud, that'd be great.
All right, yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you before. So yeah, I was looking into like HyperDocs and just trying to make this more user-friendly for my kids. So if I'm creating a whole topic lesson and I have multiple parts, on one page, let's say we're doing fractions, I want to link to a fraction activity, and I converted that PDF into a PNG, and it's an activity where they have to fill in the boxes.
Yep.
But if it's in that one thing, all the kids ended up on the same Google slide for the activity. Does that make sense? Like they were all typing on the same one, and I was like, Jesus, I don't know how to make it a copy within the copy. It was very confusing.
So, and you're aware of what I was doing in Google Classroom before when I made an assignment and then
yeah,
okay, that is interesting. I don't know if they kind of, it's like the inception of creating different files.
Yeah, because in that, like they could go to the assignment and yes, I can attach a bunch of different Google slides, and I just feel like it looks a lot more overwhelming for them, and knowing when to click back and what to click into, it just eliminates that when it's like, okay, now you're at this slide, now click here. But then they all ended up on the same landing pad, basically.
Yeah, I don't believe that's a feature. I think that the best way to manage that would be if each student has their own version of the slideshow, or are they all looking at the same slideshow?
No, they're all going to have their own version.
Okay, so they each have their own version of the slideshow, and then you put a link in there. I don't think there is an easy solution to that.
Okay.
What I would do is in the slideshow, instead of linking it to another doc, I would link it probably to the Google Classroom assignment. So let's say I want to link them to the worksheet assignment here. I would view assignment and grab this URL.
Oh.
So that way, instead of linking directly to the doc, it would link them to the Google Classroom page where they can click on.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You got it. Next question, how to add music to Google Slides. Yeah, if anyone's interested in seeing how to add music to Google Slides, feel free to check out my screen right now. So I'm just going to go to a blank slide here. You can insert, actually, I'm going to talk about how to add images, videos, and music right now, while everyone is continuing to make their slideshow or their template portfolio. To add some music, this top bar here, the The one I'm looking for is insert. And there's, you know, you can see all these different things, from charts to lines to shapes, all these different things. I'm going to add some audio. And it looks like there's actually some audio. Oh, this is actually saved in my drive. So Google Drive's done something really cool here. What it's done is it's searched through my entire drive and just found files that are .mp3 or audio files and just organized them all for me in one place. Thanks, Google Drive. That's great. So I'll take applause 3. I'll select that. Slides can't play this audio file. That is odd to me. I'm wondering if I'm having any issues because I'm in as an what's called an incognito window. Let's try one more. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna upload an audio file a bit of a different way. So just gonna give me a moment, please. I'm gonna find those audio files in my drive. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna download them to my computer. And after I do that, I'm going to put it in my slideshow. So I'm going to right-click on this file in my Google Drive. I'm going to click and download. It's now here in my downloads. And I'm going to try clicking and dragging it right into my slideshow. Sorry if that was loud. That didn't work the way I wanted it to work. I'm going to try insert audio. And this time, I'm going to try to upload something. I'm actually having very bad luck trying to upload a audio file, which is unfortunate because it's worked great for me in the past just by finding videos in my drive and uploading them. I think it's very possible it might be because I'm in an incognito window or a private window just to be in a different account for this call right now. But let me show you, assuming you don't run into the same issue that I'm having right now, what you can do is in your Google Drive, so drive.google.com, any file that is an MP3, you can find online, save it to your drive, so new file upload into Drive, and then you should be able to add it in the way that I just did it. I'm running into issues. Sorry, sometimes don't work great when you're in the middle of a call, but I promise you it's worked a whole bunch of times for me in the past. The next thing I want to do is show everyone, and again, if you're creating a template portfolio for your students, I highly recommend that, but if you're interested in seeing how to add an image in, I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to look at this little button up here. It says Insert Image, but I'm also going to find it up here, Insert Image. There's a few different ways to do it. I can upload one from my drive. I can actually take a photo using my webcam. I can do by URL. But one of my favorite ones, the favorite option here in Google Slides is if I go search the web. So again, I went to Insert Image, I'm looking for search the web. And this is actually, this little box right here is actually just a Google Images search. So it's the same thing if I went to google.com and search something, but it's just gonna show up in my window here. So I'm gonna search for dogs, let's say. And here we go. I can just click and drag these images straight from Google's images right into my slideshow. Next thing I want to look at is I'm just going to delete this dog here. I'm going to add a video. So if anyone would like to see how you add a video into your slideshow, I'm going to go to Insert, Video. A few different ways to do this. You can actually download a video and put it right in your Google Drive. And here's some videos. Again, Google Drive has done something awesome. They've taken all my video files and put them in one spot for me to look at really quickly. But my favorite thing to do is to just search one on YouTube. So let's do dogs again. Especially with, you know, this is something that you want to think twice about when you are in the school again, because you might have an issue playing YouTube videos in your school. But with remote learning, we don't have that issue. So I'm going to select this YouTube video. and it places it right into my slide. I can change the size of it. And then some options here, I can actually even trim this video. So if, this is a 10-minute video, so I'm actually just going to start at 9 minutes. This way I've only got a 1-minute video in my slideshow. I can change, I'm changing the size over here by doing this, but you can also do it in here as well. What's called a drop shadow is kind of a nice effect. And if I present, I'm actually able to, if I click on this little button here, it will play this ridiculous video of a dog and a baby. But I'm not going to do that right now because it's going to be loud and distracting.
So, sorry, can I ask a question about the video? I typed it, but I figured this is faster. Is there any way to get rid of those black bars at the top and bottom?
I can crop this video, I believe. I don't. It really just has to do with how the video is uploaded. So if you know, like older videos, if you remember, like they're kind of like square. Let me just find a better way to say that. If a video is like more than 10 years old, it will fill up that box. If it's been uploaded in the last 10-ish years, it usually will just have those black lines.
Okay.
The way newer cameras work. I can see if there's a way to. Now you can't really crop a video the same way you can crop an image, unfortunately. So no, I think you're stuck with lines.
Excuse me. I had to rejoin because I don't know what happened to, the meeting. But anyway, I just got to do 3 slides, but you didn't teach us how to insert anything. But I suppose that I can just go to insert and then either go on the browser for the website on the web or either on clip art or whatever.
Yeah, sorry. It seems like you missed. We were just covering how to add images and videos and stuff into the video, but into the slideshow. But I'm just going to do images again for you really quickly. So if you're looking at my screen, top left corner,
click
insert, and actually I'm just going to hover over image.
Okay.
And there's a few different things you can do. If you have an image on your computer, you can find it, or you can
upload it or
web camera. But actually, my favorite one is this upload from computer. Oh, actually, no, it's not. My favorite one, if I go to insert again, is search the web. And if I do that, this is actually just a Google, I just X'd out of it by accident. But if I search the web, this is just a Google image search.
And then you just write down whatever it is. But what I want to know is then how, isn't this for the kids to automatically, whatever they do, it goes automatically in their portfolio? That's not the way it works?
It does. So right now what a lot of folks are doing is they're creating a template portfolio for their students. So like the one that I've created, this sample one.
Right.
By using Google Classroom, I was actually able to make this template and give every student their own version of this template so that they can make their copy is made, and now they can go in
answer those questions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, so then this would be like a project for them.
Yeah. So you would, get on a video call with them or assign it in whatever way that you're assigning projects and say, by June 1st, everyone's going to take all the work you've done this year, and each project is going to get a slide.
Oh, so then how would that work? I'm not sure. Like all the assignments that they've already done. So
if I were you, I would definitely recommend making a list for them, and then maybe in this template, like for instance, if you did, you want 5 projects highlighted, let's say, just students probably did 100 projects throughout the year, but you're thinking of 5 big ones.
Okay.
I would assign it in such a way where you create this template, and I would put scratch project number 1, project number 2, and then just say it's an empty slide, doesn't have all this content in it, but the students know that this slide is dedicated to that maze game we made in, I don't know, March. And then students now need to upload their own image and write 2 paragraphs about that project.
Upload their image and then write about that project?
Exactly. And then in that way, when you, the students have their PowerPoint presentation, or their, sorry, I should say Google Slides presentation, that's their portfolio.
Oh, so it's not their work actually, like, you know, all the work that we do every day.
Yeah, and to me, so for what I think is the best use of their portfolio is a
It's
quick
just the best things that they've done.
best with things that they've done. And then actually what I've done here, and this is something I asked from students, is just a link to their project. So if they created a essay, let's say, and they used it in Google Docs, they can write a paragraph just about the essay. You know, we wrote an essay about Romeo and Juliet, whatever, and then just adding a link there. So if you are, you know, let's say your principal reaches out in June and says, what have your kids done? You can say, here's Sally's portfolio. He can see the quick little paragraph, but if he wants to look in a little bit more, he's got the link there so they can see the exact project.
Sorry, also, if it's on Google Slides, can't they just import, because everything's saved to their drive, can't they just import a slide and then select it if it's like an activity and it'll just go into the slideshow?
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to, if I'm in another slideshow, for instance, if that was an assignment, so I can take one of these slides and copy it and then just paste it into my other slideshow. I believe another question someone had in the chat was how to combine slideshows. You know, there might be a really complicated, weird way to do that, but the best way that I think to add two slideshows together, you've got 50 slides in one slideshow and 50 slides in another slideshow. Go into one of those slideshows, copy all the slides, and then just paste them into the other slideshow. It's gonna, you know, it might make your computer go crazy for 5 minutes, but it's worth it.
So they have to click on each slide and then answer it, right?
Yes, the students, when they're creating their portfolios, they would be making edits and changes to each slide.
And we would have to teach them how to import and everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, whether or not you get on a phone call, or sorry, a conference call with all your students, you know, this is,
Which
yeah,
I haven't learned how to do that yet. That's
okay. Well, then you could create a slideshow and then, you know, email however you're getting work out to your students.
Yeah, I attach it.
Yep, attach it and to ask your students to make a copy of it. And then, you know, they could reach out with questions, or you can, you know, work with them one-on-one. However you're getting work to your students, my suggestion is to use Google Slides to have a final product, which is their portfolio of everything they've done.
And then how do they send it back to me?
So I covered that in the beginning when that was by using this share button at the top. So they click that share button.
Share.
And they can either add you directly by typing your email, or they can have the link and share that link with you. Folks, we only got 2 minutes left, so I'm just going to paste in the chat again. Actually, that's the agenda. I'm going to paste the sign-in sheet, and I really want to stress this, everybody. I need you to sign in, please. It's important for us. It's important for you. You will be able to actually receive CTLE credit for this PD as well if you're interested. So please be sure to, I can't give it to you if you don't give me that sign-in sheet. And you'll get an email with that CTL credit on June 1st. I've got 1 minute left. I'm running off to another meeting in a minute, but I do want to answer as many questions as possible. Can you make slides interactive? If yes, how do you do that? So interactive slides. What you can do is when you share a slideshow with one of your students or a co-teacher, the both of you can be in there at the same time. So if anyone's worked in Google Docs and you see how like two people have a cursor, or you can see where their mouse is at the moment, not mouse, but where the cursor is. You can see my cursor is on the word without right now. So you can actually have you and another student working on it at the same time. So I'm not sure if that's what you mean by interactive, but you can have two people editing it at the same time. There are some advanced features in Google Slides in terms of animations. So you know, I can add an animation. So if I highlight some text here, and whoops. I want to insert. I just had this done. My menu looks a little bit different than what I'm used to right now.
So do we have to put the name of each student and then say duplicate when we attach it?
You won't need to. If you're emailing it to them, you would just create a slideshow and ask them to copy it. So
I'm not sure because I just press attach and then grab the slideshow. That's how I would do it.
Yeah. Or if you're writing your email, you can actually even just insert as an attachment from your Google Drive.
Right.
And sure everyone has access to view it.
So just say duplicate. Don't say edit.
You would ask them to go to File, Make a Copy, and that's what they would do. Or if it's up to you, you could have them start a brand new slideshow.
What?
I would suggest that if you attach your template portfolio to an email, and you would ask your students to go to File, Make a Copy, entire presentation.
File, make a copy. But I'm saying, do I say duplicate for every student or?
No, you're going to say, ask your students to make a copy if you're emailing it to them. If you're using Google Classroom, it's a different procedure. I need to run.
I'm on Google Classroom.
You're in Google Classroom. Then what you would do is you're making your assignment.
Right, and then just attach it.
What I would do actually is you would, and this is something I covered earlier, but I'm just going to edit this. You would create a slideshow.
Right, I know that.
Yeah, and each student would get their own copy. You'll definitely want each student to get their own copy. That way they won't need to copy it. You've done it for them.
Oh, so there's a drop button that says each student get their own copy? Because I saw duplicate and I saw are able to edit.
Okay. Yep. No, I would have each student make their own copy. I'm so sorry. I'm going to need to stop answering this question right now and just answer a quick question. So have their own unique URL to their portfolio? Yes. Every student, every new slideshow that gets created has a brand new URL, and that way that you can share it out separately. Thank you, everyone. This was the end of the Google Slides PD. If you're interested in joining another PD of ours, we'll be hosting a Google Slides PD, a Google Sheets PD tomorrow, and an intermediate Google Classroom PD on Friday. Next week, we'll be hosting more Google Slides PDs. Please just take a look on the remote cal from the DIIT and look for the name Mouse. So I work at a company called Mouse, and we're hosting these PDs. Please be sure that you have signed in, and I'm just going to have to end this meeting now. Thank you, everybody.